Hi everyone, we're Experience Kills. We're going to talk about an older game today. It's about a year since it came out, but Ben has been playing a bit of it recently.
Hello!
I'm Richard. I played it a long time ago, and I love Celeste. Ben, how has your time with Celeste been over the past week?
I don't think I've played as much as you have, but I can totally see why you enjoy it. Yes, the controls took a little bit of getting used to, but then when you start to get into the swing of things, yeah, it becomes pretty fluid. And man, I just want to collect every strawberry I see. So.
Even though there's no reason.
Is there literally no reason to do it?
No, absolutely no reason whatsoever. We should probably tell people what Celeste is actually. It is an old game, but just to explain what we're playing, Celeste is an old school 2D platformer, pixel art style, as is in vogue for the past few years on current gen consoles. People do love the pixel art.
Oh yeah.
It's got fantastic chiptune music. It has a narrative telling the story of its lead character Madeline and her battle with mental health. So it's very deep, as well as being a climb up a mountain. So it's got all sorts of levels involved there, and really good. And I'm glad you're enjoying it. So how far in are you? You're not too far in, you said.
I just want to call attention though to the pun you made about levels climbing a mountain. I just thought it was worth mentioning that was masterful. How far I'm in? I'm about 2 chapters, like 2 of the groupings of levels in to the game. So I don't have all the mechanics unlocked yet and stuff like that, I don't believe. But the basic jump, grip, dash, that sort of stuff, that's all in there. And one thing I noticed actually right at the beginning, it doesn't take long to become somewhat fiendish in its level design.
Yeah.
It certainly makes you really think about how to use your abilities at every moment.
Yeah, it does.
And it will present you with a stage or a screen, and you look at it and go, how the hell am I meant to do that? And then you go, oh, if I just try that and experiment. Oh my god. Oh, that was so cool. Like, there's lots of those moments.
Yeah. And it sort of breaks its own rules as well. So it sets you up with a really basic set of controls. It's the traditional sort of 4-directional D-pad control, a button to jump, and then there's an additional button to grab onto the wall, and you have a stamina bar to measure how long you can hold on for, which is critically important when you come to some of the more complicated ascents, and you've got seconds to keep gripping on until you reach the summit, and you can barely make it sometimes, and it's all about preserving your stamina to get to the top and thinking where you can take a break, where you can stand on a ledge. But even within those basic constraints, it sort of breaks its own rules in clever ways. There's bits, I think fairly early on, that you don't need to do, but it's interesting that they're there, and you might not have seen them yet, but if you noticed it sort of it flips between screens, doesn't it? It doesn't scroll. You're presented with a series of screens. When you move on to the next screen, it allows you to do your jump again. So if you've already jumped and then you go on to the next screen, you can jump more. It sort of resets, and it plays into that. So there's sort of leaps and lunges that you can do by flipping between different screens and traversing much further than you ordinarily could. And that's part of the game design. So it really sort of makes fun of its own limitations in that way. It's interesting.
I mean, one of the things I noticed early on was the gems you can jump through to give you recharge your dash.
Yeah.
Which become immediately integral to the way you maneuver in that game.
Yeah.
And especially if you're going for those strawberries that I mentioned earlier and have now been told are pointless, which it makes me feel levels of frustration that hitherto I was not aware of. Because I was hitting my head against walls to get those strawberries, and then they don't mean shit.
Well, they're kind of fun to get, but to be fair, it does tell you don't need to worry about them.
Does it?
I'm sure one of the characters says that they're pointless at some point. They make an appearance.
I really like the sassy old lady at the beginning. She was great.
Yeah, she is great, isn't she? Yeah, the strawberries make an appearance at the end of the game. You don't need to worry about them unless you're gunning for achievement. It's just an additional challenge. So rather than just something to collect, they do test your ability to sort of push Madeline's skills to the limit. So they're always slightly further out of reach, aren't they?
One of the things you mentioned that was a draw for this game was that the story is quite compelling. I've yet to experience that.
Well, the story is not particularly explicit, so it's more felt than told.
Right, so what you're saying is I'm a blockhead that doesn't have any feelings. I understand, Richard.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay. I mean, a lot of it comes across in the music, even how the lead character's sprite behaves, and that's not exactly emotive because she's made up of a few pixels. And then you've got the odd cutscene, which I'm sure you've seen, which is sort of blown up pixel art of each character with some written dialogue between them. And yeah, I think, like we've said before, there's nothing especially complicated about the story, and the encounters that Madeline has are, I suppose, fairly rote, but how that plays out with the soundtrack and just the experience of climbing and how the levels are paced really is incredible in points. You won't have seen this yet, but come nearer the end of the game, there are sections where you're making sort of coming up to the final ascent. Like, I don't think this is a spoiler, because if you don't appreciate that there's a story there, then how can I spoil it for you? But there's sections where there's sort of markers on the mountain, and they're all numbered, and you think, right, marker number 30, and number 29's just there. How do I get to 29? And the soundtrack is building, and the tension is sort of ramping up to the. You think, right, I've got to 29, now 28, 27. How do I get to 26? And you seem to, even though the challenge is there, you seem to be just rushing through these checkpoints down to the culmination of reaching number 1 and reaching the summit. And it is absolutely such a rush to get through all of that. And it sort of tops off a fantastically well-paced game throughout, where you're always thinking, like, next screen, what do I do on this one? And it never feels like a chore. I don't know if that's your experience, but to me it always felt like it was helping me and pushing me along through this difficult but always absolutely engaging journey. Loved it.
I think the gameplay couples together with the presentation really nicely, and what I'm taking from what you're telling me right now is a little piece of advice, which is I shouldn't be listening to She Hates Me by Puddle of Mud on repeat instead of the soundtrack when playing this game.
No,
okay.
You should not.
Noted. Okay. That's my gaming song. I just have that on. I had that on when we were playing, when I played Gone Home, and when I was playing any walking simulator. I find actually it really adds to the experience. She Hates Me by Puddle of Mud. If you don't know it, look it up. Great song. I might be being ironic. It's possible that I'm being a little bit ironic here.
With the exception of driving games, I don't replace the music. Especially walking simulators. What are you thinking?
It was my attempt at humour. I'm doing well. But no, Celeste is a very interesting little experience. And yeah, they're about to bring out some DLC for it, I believe. And it's going to be completely free. But sadly, it's just about going to miss the 1-year anniversary. I was reading the news story about this the other day.
I didn't read this. There's DLC coming out.
There's going to be some free DLC, mate. Yeah.
So do you know what happens when you... Do you know what form it comes in?
I'm gonna guess more levels, probably. I mean, what else would it be?
Well, there's different sorts of levels, which is why I ask. So you've got the main story of Celeste. Within each level, you can unlock additional sort of sub-levels called B-sides. So they're riffs on the main levels with more difficult challenges. If you can complete those, you've got the absurdly named C-sides. I'm not sure what a C-side is on a cassette.
C-side. Brilliant.
That's what they're called. So that's even more challenging levels. I guess the DLC is going to be more of that sort of thing rather than additional story. But who knows? Yeah.
I didn't go into the article too deeply because obviously I'm playing it at the moment and I didn't want to have anything spoiled too much for me. So yeah, I mean, it's new content, it's free content, just about missing their 1-year anniversary, they've said, which is a shame, but it's coming soon. That's cool.
yeah, excited for that, and there should be a lot of new players on it because it was free on Games with Gold.
Yes, it's right now. It might be finishing soon, but it's right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyone that hasn't grabbed that, grab it. It is definitely worth your time. One of my favourite platformers for quite a while, and a really nice inclusion in one of our Game of the Year lists, wasn't it? I think we had Celeste in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Near the top.
Yeah, you brought it up, definitely.
So,
absolutely.
Yes, Celeste, a recommendation for anyone that hasn't tried it yet.
Cool, so that's the end of this one, is it?
That's probably it. So we'll see you again next time when we discuss something else. Maybe a newer game, maybe an older game.
Maybe. Where can they find us?
They can find us at experiencekills.co.uk or at experiencekills on Twitter. You can also see our YouTube page by visiting our main website link.
Bye-bye.
Bye.